Welcome to our holiday concert. Glad to see everyone this afternoon. Thank you. Just remind everybody the housekeeping rules that we have. Turn your cell phones off and be sure that you wait and let the people that can EMVs go out first, and then if you have a walker, you raise your tag for that. Thank you for coming this afternoon. This is our second holiday concert with 3 octaves of chimes. So I hope you enjoy. The rocking carol is one you can imagine maybe Mary rocking baby Jesus to sleep. It's a very old lullaby. When I was working with children in choirs with the little kids, sometimes in choir, we would have them pretend that they were rocking a baby Jesus when they would learn the song, and they really liked to do that. So pretend we're rocking. Many stories are behind Jeanette Isabella. The stories, some of them that they were two girls, Jeanette and Isabella. Some of them thought, sometimes the story goes it was just one child, but they were milkmaids. And they discovered the baby Jesus in the stable. And so they were running to tell the town folks to come see the baby Jesus in the stable. Our next song incorporates two songs, so I'm going to ask if anybody can tell me what those are at the end. What are the two songs? Jingle Bells and? Thank you. This is another one that has 2 songs in it, so I will ask you again at the end. Me the names of the 2 songs. Yes, and it came up on the midnight clear. Thank you. I'm going to let them sit down and rest right now for a second. I forget this at rehearsal sometime. And after the time, half of the rehearsal's over, some of them saying, we got to sit down and rest. So I'm going to tell you a little history about things while they're resting just a little bit. The chimes have... Chimes cannot do a lot of things that handbells do, and this coming Sunday afternoon you will hear the handbell group that we heard 2 Christmases ago, and they have many octaves of bells. They have chimes interspersed with some of the big tall chimes they have to play with the mallet. Chimes came about when people started working with physical therapy and children in therapy, and it kind of evolved. And it's a very mellow sound, and we're very lucky that we have arrangers who write things for handbell music and for chimes, that we can do so many things with chimes that we used to could not do. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about, find my notes here. Okay, you notice a lot of the arrangers have been Martha Lynn Thompson and Douglas Wagner. Martha Lynn Thompson is a native of Little Rock, Arkansas, and she got her major in music education with a major in organ and theory. Then shortly after she graduated, she married, and she and her husband became ministers of music at a large church in Little Rock. It's United Methodist Church of Little Rock, and they've been there since 1969. Her husband's name is Felix, and he's the senior minister of music. And together they oversee and direct a music program of 12 handbell choirs and 7 vocal choirs. So they've been there since 1969. And I know with the Methodist Church, ministers change after so many years. Sometimes the music directors go with them, sometimes they don't. This is one that has stayed, and we're so lucky to have a lot of her arrangements. She's written over 190 arrangements for handbells and hand chimes. Douglas Wagner is a native of Chicago. He's very internationally recognized and arranger of music, not only for handbells, but for band and orchestra and choirs. And for about 30 years, he's been doing this. He's been a high school music educator and administrator. And so he is also an editor of a music publishing company. And he's written over 3,000 titles that he's had published. So we have a lot of interesting people that we can have music from, and it's really fun. When I used to go to many conventions, and I met some of these people along the way, and I still keep in touch with some through the internet. So the next piece we're going to show for you is O Tannenbaum. And this was kind of interesting that I did a lot of Googling. I know all of you Google, and every time I Google to find something I forgot about or something I never knew before. So about the O Tannenbaum's a Christmas tree. And in the beginning, the Christmas tree was not really decorated like we know it today. People were told it was not magical, it was not spiritual, but you were to worship the person who created the tree. And then, I'm losing this, okay. Find my notes here. A lot of people gave the credit. There's a monk, he's the one in 1700s that said that. All right, let me get my notes here. Here we go. Oh, this is what I found. A lot of people think Martin Luther was the one that started the O Tannenbaum, but he was really the first one that started decorating the trees, and that's when he insisted on lighted candles on the tree, which was very dangerous after a while. Then in 1846, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert reintroduced the Christmas tree in England. And then in 1882, Thomas Edison's assistant Edward Johnson came up with the lights with electricity. And by 1890, ornaments arrived from Germany, and that's when the popularity of the Christmas tree really first came about with that. So we're going to be playing O Tannenbaum. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas was written by Hugh Martin and Ralph Blaine. They were two that wrote a lot of music for movies. And I don't know if most of you know the Meet Me in St. Louis movie. The first time this was performed was Judy Garland sang it in 1949 in this movie. Later, Frank Sinatra recorded it, and the version was modified a little bit after that. Hugh Martin was musical theater and arranger, vocal coach, and playwright, and he was the one that wrote the score for Meet Me at St. Louis. The team that they made up many music for the movies. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer came out in 1939. It was a story booklet written for Montgomery Ward's department store advertisement, which I thought was very interesting. It reached its heights later in Mace's, let's see, who was it? Okay, the brother-in-law, somebody's brother-in-law. Okay, Johnny Marks developed the lyrics and melody, and the song was recorded by Gene Autry and sold 2 million copies the first year, one of the best-selling songs of all times. Sometimes we have a lot of different accidentals that it's too much for one person to handle. So you see Paula going around and giving some things to Harriet. So she's giving her some of her accidentals up there. So that's what happens. The black chimes that you are the accidentals, the flats and the sharps, just like on the piano. And we all say accidentals are accidents waiting to happen. Here Comes Santa Claus was written and performed by, who knows? Gene Autry, right. 1947, it was co-written by Oakley Haldeman. Another tidbit of information I found, which I didn't realize, I knew who sang it, but I didn't realize she was so young. Rocking Around the Christmas Tree was written by Johnny Marks, recorded by Brenda Lee in 1958. She was only 13. I didn't realize that when she was only 13 when she recorded it and became such a hit. Thank you all very much for coming. We've really enjoyed preparing this, and we'll have a surprise for you in the spring. I would like to thank the people that we've had for substitutes. Sometimes our ringers can't be here, and they're listed on the back, and we really appreciate them stepping in. Also, we'd like to thank people who set up our tables and do the draping and everything. That's been a big help. So have a nice Merry Christmas. Have a nice rest of the week and weekend. Thank you.